lovely?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you so much for coming in. You've travelled in from a mission away, might I add. Where was it? Near Chichester.
Yeah, so I live in West Sussex, but I'm in London every day, so it's really no difference. No.
What would you just really do? You not like it here? Do you not like us here in London?
I'd love to live in London. I can't wait to live here again. I lived here since I was 18. In lots of different places, and just life took me back home for a while.
Yeah.
I live with my mum, which is quite nice.
Oh, that's always good to have a bit of mum time.
Yes.
So I think the best place to start with is what I read about you on your bio.
Right.
on your website. Right. This is brilliant. So I don't know whether you wrote these words specifically, but your intro in your bio says, Dani Sylvia is a singer-songwriter who manages to capture how unreasonably awful it is to be who we are without making you want to throw things at the radio. That is absolutely brilliant. What a way to describe yourself. But I kind of understand what it means because I've listened to quite a lot of your songs now.
Yeah.
And you are incredibly open and incredibly emotional. But you're right, it doesn't make me want to hurt myself or get angry, which is a very good skill. But surely your life isn't as dreary as it comes across.
Not at all. No, not at all. I'm actually quite a cheerful person. That was actually, my bio was written by one of my best friends, April, because I just couldn't. It's really hard to write your own bio because it's hard to be objective, subjective, not sure which one it is, about yourself and about your music. So I was just like, I don't even know where to start. So she was like, right, I've been to all your gigs. I know you. I listen to your music all the time. I will write your bio. So, and she's a literary student. Like she's studied English. So she's very brainy and clever. So yeah, I do love the way she put it.
It was absolutely brilliantly put. And I was actually speaking to George Talbot, fellow Wandsworth Radio presenter, about your music as well. Yes. And he said the same thing. It's very deep. It's very emotional. I think sort of empathetic is probably the right word, but not in a way that's boring and makes you want to go, oh, stop singing over piano. Like you actually have some real substance to your songs, which I love.
Thank you.
Sundays was the first song that I heard, which I think is a perfect example of it being a sad song, but not in a way that, I mean, it makes you want to cry, but in a more hopeful way, I guess.
That's what I always want to do. So I kind of want to capture all the things that we all go through, maybe we don't talk about a lot. That's what I always want to do, is try and maybe make people feel less alone, because quite often humans have a lot of pride, don't we? And we don't really want to admit when things go horribly wrong. We want to always be fine. Mm-hmm. So I kind of want most of my music to be about those moments, those kind of lonely moments that you don't really tell anyone about. But I think there is hope in that. To be able to go, this is how I feel, but I'll probably be all right.
Yeah, which is a beautiful message as well. Do you intentionally do that? I know you said that you like to put the hopeful bit into your songs. Do you intentionally do it when you start writing the song, or does it kind of just come out by the time you finished?
I think it comes out because I am quite hopeful. I always do have hope, and I know that even when things are terrible or seem terrible, that there is always a brighter day. Yeah. So I think I've just learned that with some of the things I've been through. So that just comes out just because that's who I am.
You are.
Yeah,
which is always a great place to start. So Sundays, I'm assuming it sounds like heartbreak.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about the song.
So it's right. So Sundays came about by accident, completely by accident. I had sung a gig for a charity called Music for Mental Wealth, and Sam Branson was there. So Richard Branson's son, and he wants to get into music. He's doing very well at it. He's built his own little studio in his house in Oxford, and he'd heard one of my other songs called Serotonin at that charity gig. Anyway, he heard that and he said, "Can you come to my studio and we can chat?" I didn't actually go with the intention of writing at all. I just went to chat and for him to kind of show me what he'd been working on, and vice versa. Anyway, while I was there, I was working with another guy who was there at the time called Rich Craker, and another guy called Dave Colshaw, and we were just like, should we write a song? And I'd written that line, I miss you on Sundays, or I just miss you on Sundays. I'd written it because, most lyricists write things that inspire them as they go throughout their days. And I'd written that down because that was the time when I was starting to feel my most sad after a breakup I had last year. So I was kind of getting through life, but in the kind of lonely moments, which to me are Sundays when everyone else is with their families or with their other halves, and you're not really allowed to interrupt them and be like, "Hey, do you want to go for lunch?" Those were the days when I was kind of my most lonely. So I'd written that down and I said, "Should we start from here?" And that's kind of where the song came from. So we were just jamming and then...
Yeah. Do you often write about your personal experiences, what you've been through, or do you get inspired by other people as well?
It's a real mixture. I used to only write from empathy. And it wasn't until I experienced... I'd experienced a lot of heartbreak before, but my biggest heartbreak was probably about 16 months ago. And that was when I started writing from my own heartbreak experience rather than writing about other people's other people's experiences.
Yeah. Was that... I mean, that sounds terrifying to me personally. Was it easier to write from your own experience or from someone else's?
There's a real... I don't know. I guess it's kind of easier to write from your own because you have yourself as a reference. But I do find it more interesting, I think, trying to write as though I was someone else. So there's a song on my EP called Free, which I wrote for my best friend Alex. I write it as though it's from me, but it's actually for him, and it was to try and get him through a bad situation he was in. There's another song called Forever Young, which was the reason I started doing this on my EP as well, which I wrote for a friend who passed away. And there's a lot of songs like that. They're just quite interesting to write with the hope that the person you're writing it for will kind of take it and make a change.
Learn from it, I guess.
Yeah.
How long have you been writing for?
So I was never meant to do this. I went to Guildhall School of Music and Drama in the Barbican and studied acting, straight acting, so Shakespeare and Greek tragedy and all that stuff, when I was 18. And then I did that for a couple of years, and it was when I wrote Forever Young, which is the last track on my EP. I've got a copy for you, by the way, in my bag.
Oh, thank you.
Which I wrote for a friend who had a terminal diagnosis, sadly. And it was then that I thought, this is what I connect with, this is what I want to do, because I think that I'm meant more to write maybe music I don't know, it probably sounds a bit crazy, but I feel like this is my thing that I'm meant to do.
Like your calling, I guess. Do you still get acting involved in it when you're on stage, or...?
No, I don't think I do. In fact, I think I've really gone purposefully away from it.
Really?
Yeah, so quite a lot of people have a persona on stage or a character they go into, and I've really tried not to be like that. So I tried to be completely my bumbling idiot self and say stupid things probably.
Let's talk a little bit more about your previous EP, Monologue. Yes. When did that one come out?
So that came out... it's been re-released because I switched... distribution. It was actually released in 2015. Oh, it was released today, 2 years ago.
No way.
Yeah, because I got those Facebook memory things. That's so weird. I just remembered that. Yeah, 5th of February. Is it 5th of February today?
It is the 5th of February today.
It was 2 years ago.
That's absolutely madness. So, okay, how did that EP come about, first of all? Let's start there.
So it's a complete... that was just my first brainstorming. I'm probably actually going to take it down quite soon.
Okay.
So it was I'd just decided that I wanted to do music. So I was like, right, these are some songs that I've written. I kind of actually filled up the EP kind of within a month or so. Produced it in 6 months or so, something like that. And a lot, you'll hear if you listen to it, a lot of it's very kind of all over the place with its production. It doesn't really have a through line sound-wise. The only thing that kind of holds it together is, I guess, the similar lyrical structures and the vocal. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just a complete mishmash of songs. And it was just kind of my first baby.
Yeah. But and now you're ready to move on.
Yes.
So how would you describe your style, I guess, and what influences your music? Musically rather than lyrically, because we've done lyrics now. Yes. Let's go about music.
So musically, this is where I struggle because I love everything.
Yeah.
I love all of the musics. So I guess if I was to describe it now, it's stuff that nobody has heard yet because I'm sort of sitting on it now at the moment. I'm on album 2 now. I just haven't released the first one yet.
That's always the way, isn't it? You said that you changed your mind. You were going to release it because it was supposed to come out this year, right?
It was supposed to come out this year. It was actually supposed to come out last year, but I kept pushing it back. So I have created it. I still don't know. I might release some of it as an EP or 2. Mm-hmm. But I feel like your first few years as a singer-songwriter, you're developing, aren't you? And you don't quite know who you are at first, and I definitely didn't. now I feel like I'm more sure.
Yeah.
So now I'm starting to be very clear when I go to producers about what I want and what the sound is. And to go back to what we were saying, I think it's very dramatic, very epic snares and drums.
Yeah. Which is right up my street, by the way. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Interesting what you said, because you were telling me about what the guy at Spotify told you when you were trying to get it online.
Yeah.
And he said to you basically...
He just said, he said your music's unplaylist, like a bit more like... It doesn't really fit on the playlists.
Which I think it's crazy that people still say that, because what he said to you is because it didn't have the R&B beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really popular right now, and I do love. But
me too.
I feel like one of the things that I love about your music is that it's away from that, but still epic and still quite relevant. It's not the generic kind of Afro beat that is everywhere, but it's still really relatable. So I'm still quite surprised that.
But it's okay. All of these things, I kind of take it as a little bit of a compliment, because I think what it means to me is that they don't quite get it yet, but I quite like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You're going to teach them a few things.
Maybe, I don't know. I think I'd rather people not get it at first than go, oh yeah, that fits straight onto that playlist. Do you know what I mean? So there's a kind of a challenge in it, and I do want to make something that's a little bit different, because there's so many sad songs about, and there's so many wonderful, brilliant lyrical pieces about. So I need to find what it is that makes me stand out. So that's what I'm still trying to discover and develop.
Enough. Very exciting journey, though.
Yeah, it is.
There's a couple of songs that you've got online that weren't on your EP. I guess they're just singles that may be on your album, I don't know. But a few of them stuck out to me. A couple of them being Perfection Generation and
Omniscient.
Omniscient. Thank you. I can never say it. Perfection Generation to me sounded like essentially we're calling out social media for what it is. And you said to me when you came in as well that you're not great at the social media.
I'm so bad at it.
But do you not find it like quite useful as a singer to get your stuff out there?
It is. It's so useful. It's basically free marketing, isn't it? So it is really useful. I'm just rubbish at remembering to do it. I need to train myself better. Yeah. But when I wrote Perfection Generation, it was one of my first songs I wrote, actually. That was when I really was like anti-social media, because all I was seeing was these young, beautiful girls, but they were like selfies and all, like lighting and contour and editing their faces. And it really scared me at first, because I was like, but I don't want my children to grow up thinking they have to be perfect and then show people that they're perfect and then hashtag it. Like, I don't really get it.
I think one of your lyrics was... I'm trying to be better, otherwise what's the point? Or I think I might have paraphrased your lyric there, sorry.
Exactly.
But it was something along those lines of, we're just doing it to be better than everyone, right?
Exactly.
Which, you're right, is quite scary.
Yeah.
But have you gotten a bit more used to it now, or do you still think it's kind of scary?
I've got used to it. I definitely don't like... I just don't want anyone to feel like they feel bad. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we've all been in that scenario where we're having a bad day, and then we look on social media and someone else looks like they're having a great day, and that they look perfect, and maybe we're at home feeling awful, and it just makes you feel worse. So I don't like that, and I don't think it's real, basically.
Yeah, which is pretty fair. As for Omniscient, I mean, that one, you're pretty much just calling out God and being like, why did you make me? One of the lyrics was, did you mistake me? Which I thought was quite an interesting lyric as well. What inspired that song?
So that song's kind of about the industries I've chosen to be a part of. So it's kind of about the music industry. It's kind of about acting. So all these creative industries, or maybe any industry, and anyone who feels like they have a calling of some sort, or just something they really want to do, like music or acting, fashion, doctor, lawyer, whatever. When we're on the pursuit of that, I think it can be quite scary, because you're constantly going, oh, but am I meant to do this? And is it going to work out? It's basically a song written by a control freak who wants to know, like, is it going to work out, kind of thing.
You're not a control freak, are you?
Maybe a little bit.
You seem very relaxed for a control freak. I think they say all creative people, particularly musicians and people who write songs, like you said, you know what you want it to say. Yeah. So you're going to take charge of that, basically, which is a great skill to have.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Omniscient was just about like saying, if I'm not meant to do this, and if like this is just going to be painful and kind of constant letdowns and disappointments, which it is quite a lot, anything creative is like that, then can someone just tell me from the future, like, God, just tell me just to stop. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I think that's another thing I like about your songs, because they are kind of, in a sense, talking about a heartbreak, but it's not just necessarily a heartbreak from a person or a partner. It's also the heartbreak you experience in life from friends when life knocks you back from things like social media, which is quite interesting. Pretty socially aware of you as well. Well done for that. Since you never actually planned on being a singer, how long have you actually been singing for?
Well, I've been singing, I guess, since I could sing. I did got a little bit at school, and I'd always loved singing. I always wanted to be, like, I grew up on Britney and Christina.
Yes, so, my girl.
Yes. So I was always like, I want to be Britney. Still kind of want to be Britney. Because she's the queen. But yeah, so I never thought it was possible to even try. I had no idea about that you could self-release, and obviously things are changing now. People are staying unsigned. Yeah. So I've come at it at a difficult time, but also a really empowering time. And funnily enough, that Omniscient, which is about feeling like maybe you're not being seen or heard, was the song that kind of broke me through. So that was the song that was played on Radio 2. That was the song that was played on that I won the Unsigned Music Awards. Was it a feature track as well, not on just Radio 2 but also BBC Introducing or something as well? BBC Introducing London. So it was weird because I was like, gosh, this is the last song. I wasn't even going to release that song, and that only came, sorry, I'm rabbiting on.
No, go for it.
That only came about because I just had a horrible breakup. The day after, my friend Bobby called me up and said, I want to do a music video. I've got this amazing space in London for free for like 2 hours. Do you want to come up tomorrow and do a music video? And I was like, yeah, okay. Went up to London, did this music video, cried all the way through, like I was broken. But it was quite funny. We were all kind of laughing because I just couldn't stop crying, but also laughing. And so, released that music video and therefore released the single. And it was never a song that I'd planned on releasing ever because it's such a weird subject matter.
Yeah. But obviously it's something that a lot of people can relate to, especially, I think you're right, at this time, a lot of people are kind of just going for the things that they like to do rather than sticking to the 9 to 5. So definitely an anthem for all of us creatives out there. Funnily enough, you said about coming up to London and you don't live in London anymore.
No.
Because obviously you have the song, is it Coming Back?
Yes.
Which is about, the first line is, I'm not coming back to London, or something like that.
It is that exact line,
which obviously you said just earlier in the interview that you would like to come back, but at the time it just wasn't right for you and it was time for you to head back, which I think is something a lot of people in London can empathise with. Big city, coming to see your dreams can sometimes be a bit lonely. Yes. What was your experience like the first time? Why is it that you had to leave?
So this is the second time I've left. This one wasn't by choice. The first time I left London was after drama school, so I'd gone to study acting, and just found it so overwhelming, and it was very weird and hard. It was an amazing degree, but I was very damaged afterwards. Because it's studying acting, especially classical, straight acting, like people call it. You have to do a lot of soul searching, breaking you down, and all that sort of stuff. So when I finished that 3 years training, I was a shell, and I had to go home because I had to rebuild myself as a person. Yeah. So that's when I wrote that song, and that was the first song I ever put out into the world.
Oh, fair play. Yeah. But then since then, so you've gone on, like we said. Omniscient won the Unsigned Music Award for Best Songwriter 2016. It was also featured on BBC Introducing London and Surrey Sussex as well. You've gone on to be the one to watch for the Metro and for Dorothy Perkins as well. Didn't actually know they did a one to watch, but fair play. You supported The Feeling on their UK tour. How was that?
Oh, that was still one of the best experiences of my life. Well, it was a proper on the tour bus. Started in Edinburgh, worked our way down. Went to all the big cities. It was incredible. It was hard, really hard, because when you're supporting someone, you have to win. They actually don't want to watch you. Yeah. They've come to watch someone else. So you stand up in front of them. They're like, oh gosh, get on with it. I just want to see this band. So the challenge is to try and win them over within your half an hour slot. So it was a real baptism of fire. It was one of my first gigs even. I hadn't even gigged that much when I did that.
Wow.
Tour. So but it was amazing. You said on the tour bus. And I've never slept so well in my life.
On the tour bus?
On the tour bus.
Really?
I was expecting it to be awful. I was like, I couldn't get out of the little cosy bed. It was so nice.
Any future tours coming up for you then?
Not yet, no, but I would really love to. Yeah. I'd really, really love to tour. I loved doing that.
I thought everyone says it's really draining and really tiring, but you slept like a baby, apparently. You're also part of Urban Voice Collective.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
So it's basically like a sexy gospel choir. It's a gospel choir without the gospel. So it's rooted in gospel music, and we still do sing that, but we're commercial. So we do big group backing vocals for artists. We do corporate stuff. So it's an amazing group of people, about 30 to 40 of us, of just the biggest personalities, the like craziest, most amazing people of all time, who are all really talented.
How did you have to audition?
Yes, yeah.
God, was it scary, or did you just like like, I can do this, it's fine,
no,
it's
not
a breeze?
at all. No, I'm a nervous wreck. So
I
walked in and was like bright red, and they were the first people who kind of took a chance on me singing wise. So they were kind of the reason I started this, actually. Urban Voices. They were my intro into the music world.
Yeah. Do you still get nervous when you perform your own stuff?
No. Yeah, of course, but like nowhere near to that degree of like panic and like purple and, don't know how to be yourself. I've sort of taken that, which is my natural reaction, and made that into what I am. So I get really nervous, but I just say it if I'm nervous.
Fair play, which you can't really go wrong because people can relate to that, which is fair.
Exactly.
So we've talked a bit about the next album, which isn't out yet. No. Any ideas when it might be coming out?
So, no. I went to... Right, I've done this whole album. It's called Tall Tales. I think I will release it. I'm not sure when, but it might be more like an EP or two rather than an album. Because there's some that I might get done elsewhere or whatever. But then I've got another group of songs that I've just written in Thailand. So I just went to an amazing place called Karma Studios in Thailand, and wrote for 2 weeks with the world's most incredible young producers and writers. They are all going to be people that you'll hear of. To name a few: Rich Craker, a girl called Luna, who I'm supporting next week and is also my best friend, and just loads of people. AKA Block, I've got another single coming out with him on the 21st of March. Young, amazing, talented producers and writers, and we wrote loads and loads. I wrote 9 songs when I was out there with them guys, and they kind of really helped me discover how to make the kind of epic sounds that I've been trying to get towards.
That's amazing. Is this something you got through Sam Branson?
Yeah, so the producer who was in the room, Rich Craker, when I went to visit Sam Branson, his dad owns Karma Studios. So I wrote Sundays with Rich and with Sam and the other guy, David, who's also wonderful. And yeah, Rich invited me, said, do you want to come out to Thailand to write? And I was like, I didn't even know anything about it, so I was like, yeah, okay.
Sure, why not?
And it was life-changing. I had the best... We worked till like 3 a.m. some nights, but I wasn't even tired because you just love it so much.
How do you meet all these people? Where are you meeting these people?
Someone said that to me. Chris, the guy who runs Karma, he said, you have a knack for just like running into incredible people.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, I'm sure that's a sign that it's meant to be then, really.
I hope so.
Yeah. We're actually going to... That went really, really quickly. Actually, we're kind of running out of time. A couple of quick questions for you. Who are you listening to at the moment?
I've just discovered Grimes, and I'm a bit late to the party.
Grimes as in Grimes the act, or Grimes as in Grime the music?
Grimes as in the act.
The act.
Have you heard her?
I haven't.
Listen to Kill versus Maim and and another one. What is it? Flesh Without Blood. She's like nuts, incredible artist. She produces and writes everything herself. The most amazing pop music. I listen to her. I always am listening to Frank Ocean because he's my idol.
Yes, I love Frank Ocean.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love him so much. And I danced with him in a club once.
I'm sorry,
it's the biggest moment of my life, Akylah.
When did you meet Frank Ocean, and how did you manage to dance with him in a club? And
I grinded on Frank Ocean.
What? Wait, hold up, which club? Where? Let me write the name down.
It was in Bodega Negra in
Soho?
Central, yeah.
I work like opposite there.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
He just happened to be in there when I was in there with a friend once. And with he was when Kanye West was on tour, so he was DJing in the corner.
Of course.
And he was there, and I was like, and he was like grind.
That's insane.
Oh,
do you reckon he would know who you are? Can you tell people you're friends with Frank Ocean now?
No, he would definitely not know who I am.
I'm so jealous. You have absolutely
I know. You can't get, like, I can die happy. The next day I was like, I've done it. I've done my life.
That's it. You're sorted. Well, I cannot wait to hear your next stuff when it's coming out. Really looking forward to it, of course.
Thank you.
We've got your single Omniscient up next. Cool. Would you like to introduce the track before you go?
Yes. I'm Dani Sylvia. You can find me at Dani Sylvia Music on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. My next single's out on the 21st of March, and this is my previous single, Omniscient.
Wandsworth Radio.